The White House confirmed that the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, will be serving as an unpaid employee of the federal government here with the title of special assistant to the president. Ivanka Trump, for her part, released a statement saying she decided to take on the official government role to avoid any questions about conflicts of interest. We can put that up on screen. She says in the statement, "I have heard the concerns some have with my advising the president in my personal capacity while voluntarily complying with all ethics rules, and I will instead serve as an unpaid employee in the White House, subject to all of the same rules as other federal employees." Now, throughout this process, she says, "I've been working closely and in good faith with the White House counsel and my personal counsel to address the unprecedented nature of my role." That's the end of that statement there. But Wolf, we should point out this may raise questions of whether Ivanka Trump will be violating federal nepotism rules. That question will obviously get raised as her father is the president, of course, and her husband, Jared Kushner, is also a White House advisor. But we should point out, Wolf, the president's legal team, the White House counsel, lawyers for the president have long maintained that the law gives him broad discretion to name his own team of advisors. So when those questions come up with Ivanka Trump's hiring over here, I would bet, Wolf, that that'll be the explanation we get.
First, I'm signing an executive order to ensure that we fully collect all duties imposed on foreign importers that cheat. They're cheaters. From now on, those who break the rules will face the consequences, and there'll be very severe consequences. Second, I am ordering the first ever comprehensive review of America's trade deficits and all violations of trade rules that harm the United States and the workers of the United States, just as I promised during my campaign. We're going to investigate all trade abuses, and based on those findings, we will take necessary and lawful action to end those many abuses. I'm not beholden to any political or financial interest. I don't care. I'm here to do a job. I'm doing a job for the American worker. I really don't care. I'm not thinking about my business or anybody's business. Wilbur isn't. Peter isn't. None of the folks that we have up here are. We're doing a job. It's an opportunity like nobody's ever given. And we're here to do a great job for the American worker and for our companies where the American workers are employed.
So, Jesse, I mean, it's fascinating to read over these documents and the reporting that the New York Times has now posted tonight. There's so much, for all the talk of how, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump have gone above and beyond the law in terms of getting rid of any ethical conflicts. There's a lot that's just not known about who Jared Kushner's family company, who's investing in it, what businesses from overseas are investing in it. You talked about a huge investment from a company in Israel, and obviously he's tasked with bringing Middle East peace.
Right. I mean, Kushner Companies has 4 separate loans from Bank Hapoalim, which is the biggest bank in Israel, and that presents a couple of issues, right? One, Jared Kushner is, as you point out, tasked with doing peace in the Middle East. And then the other issue is that Bank Hapoalim is the subject of a very serious investigation by the Department of Justice here in the U.S. into whether the bank helped Americans evade taxes with undeclared bank accounts offshore. And so the notion that he continues to be the beneficiary of this business that he ran for many years, that is in business with the biggest bank in a country with whom he's going to be doing extensive work from a diplomatic perspective, is quite surprising.
The finances of the president's closest aides, including his daughter, have just been revealed in the White House disclosure documents. We're now learning that Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, combined, their worth could exceed $700 million. Now, the couple collected about $195 million in income. This is according to a new financial snapshot of about 180 of the men and women serving in the Donald Trump White House. Before administration counsel advised them to resign from various postings, divest certain holdings, or recuse themselves from future decisions. CNN Politics producer Dan Merica is with us this morning. Dan, good morning to you.
Morning.
So let's start with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. I mean, they are not the only wealthy aides, but we are learning a lot about their holdings as well as the other aides there in the White House, and there are a lot of millionaires around the president.
Yeah, the form somewhat, confirmed what we already thought and knew about this White House, is there are a lot of wealthy people around Donald Trump. You remember he campaigned against people who, and Goldman Sachs and investment banks, but it's worth noting a lot of those people have come to the White House, come to his administration. You have people like Gary Cohn, his top economic advisor, made $75 million last year. Dina Powell, who was a top National Security Council advisor, made over $4 million last year, $3 million of which was in a cash bonus. But by far the most interesting is what Jared Kushner and by marriage Ivanka Trump, what they're worth and what they made. The $700 million is a huge figure, but if you dig down into those numbers, you see where that money came from and what must have been a very complicated process to divest himself from all of these holdings. Now, the biggest concern with the Trump administration has been the ability for aides and the president himself to benefit their businesses and then their bottom line through the presidency. You know, you've seen Donald Trump for the last 8 weekends go to properties with his name on it, go to golf courses, go to his hotels, and now obviously he's the president, he can go where he wants, but by going to those properties, he's giving them publicity that many places would die for, and that in turn benefits his bottom line. The questions about Kushner and now Ivanka Trump, who has become an informal advisor or an official advisor, a government employee, is will she be able to do that as well, and how are her holdings tied to her husband?